Well, welcome to the show. Larry's here for day 2 of talking about new Trek. Larry, how you feeling? You back with us again?
I'm good. That was such a fast 24 hours, but I got a good night's sleep and I'm raring to go here on these broad, deep, rich topics. Boy, Matt, I hope we don't talk a half hour on these.
I learned very early on, Larry, when I was starting out in podcasting and you and Doug Drexler would join me, that I would just have to make bookings on the satellite for 2 hours and I hope I didn't go over that. Especially Doug. He loves a chat. I love that, man.
I love Doug too. Yeah. Well, I'm being completely facetious here because today's topic that you've laid out here is going to be, we're going to be dancing in thin air here. We're not making mountains out of molehills. We're going to be like making, spider webs out of lace or whatever. I don't know.
Well, of course, the topics are Discovery's 3rd season and Untitled Section 31, as vanilla as that sounds. Let's start with Disco's 3rd season. They've jumped 950 years into the future at the end of Season 2. What are you thinking? Where are we going to end up here?
What's amazing to me about this, well, a couple of levels. One is if the consensus of the writers and producers after a couple of years was that canon is too hard, and you had a lot of fans saying either they didn't want a prequel again, that they wanted the show to go where no Star Trek has gone before. They would have preferred a format past Nemesis, as everyone keeps saying. Well, in the meantime, we've got #Picard series, which will be post Nemesis, and very close to that time period from all appearances. I mean, within 20 years, but the subject matter, Picard, is pretty much pulled into mainstream Federation affairs, even if he's for some reason maybe a loner or an outcast or covert or whatever, but we'll talk about that later. But people are getting a taste of that series. But back here on Discovery, all the people that wished they'd had a series that was set apart from the known universe and the tight timeline spots, well, they're getting it. Now, it's almost like, okay, well, be careful what you wish for, Lieutenant. You're going to get it. Like, they are so far. I mean, I will see your paradigm of we're going to take Voyager, across the galaxy and put it in a new time frame and a new physical location. It's like, well, we'll go to a new physical location at a different time. It's like, I'll see you in Rays. They're literally going where no Star Trek has gone before. They're not only going to pioneer some new area, they're going to pioneer a whole new time. But then at the same time you get off on that possibility, then you have to stop and go, wait a minute. Did they really? How do we know they went 950 years in the future? How do we know they wound up at Terralisium, where her mother's Burnham's mother's time suit was tagged to originally, anchored to? How do we know they got there and then immediately found some way to slingshot, or something went wrong and they slingshot it out? And yes, they get a signal 320 days after the Enterprise and Pike and Spock get that red signal. But how do we know what that means? How do we know who's sending that? How do we know what's happening? And since the whole point of view of the Discovery finale was the Pike, and we saw the wrap up on their end, and the only thing we got post black hole immersion was and that 2001 timey-wimey kind of glowy ending that was like this love affair to everybody on the bridge. After that, the only thing we got from their end of things was that red signal. How do we know that that's what, we just know what we think it means, and we watched all the Enterprise crew, we watched them think what they thought it meant after they all decided to keep all this secret. So we can sit here and talk about 950 years in the future, and they're over there, and what are they doing? And obviously this was creatively done as a blank slate, but we don't know specifically if they're exactly where we think they went to, or if they got there, what kept them from something going wrong, or intentionally pinging off to some other time, some other location. Because either way, the underpinning here, it was like Voyager in the Delta Quadrant, and going, look, they're cut off from everything known. We're going to have to create everything from whole cloth. And that was the Adventure of the Week format. Then what's the overhanging arc going to be? Will it be them trying to get home to some time and place? They knew that's what was happening. They went there to protect the sphere knowledge from the resurgence of 31. Is that out the window? Is that still in play? Is that going to guide all their actions? I mean, it's like the more we know, the more we realize we don't know.
I think what I hope for the very first scene of season 3 is Matt Winston to be on screen, and he's got a timescape behind him, and he's just going, yes, I have some new friends. And of course, for those playing at home that don't know who Matt Winston is, it is, of course, Crewman Daniels, the actor from Enterprise, Crewman Daniels.
Crewman Daniels, a temporal agent Daniels from the, yeah. Boy, if they turn...
That's about the same time, isn't it, Larry?
There were some moments during the season when we were laughing about the Red Angel, and somebody said, "It's Crewman Daniels. It's Captain Archer. The Red Angel is future human guy, future humanoid." And with all these references to Enterprise, I thought, my God, that would be it's one thing to have Pike and then go back to the Telosians. It's one thing to have some Vulcan moments here that play in. Or the first season, play with the Defiant and Tholian Web and the Mirror Universe and all that. But boy, if they do a deep cut to Enterprise and the temporal Cold War,
how brilliant!
That was one thing that, coming into the finale and Alex Kurtzman talking about, we're gonna answer all your canon conundrum questions. Well, they kind of did, but there were times when I went, are they going to do some kind of a time suit jump and come back and they're all dressed in their double knit stretch poly because it's like fourth season? They wouldn't be in the nylon, they wouldn't be in the velour, right? Because that's first couple of seasons, or wherever it is they go, or if they do want to go back to the velour before the non-black color. Anyway, how would they accomplish this? Well, they got to where they wanted to. That's how they're going to settle. They're going to leave it with Pike's look, but his Enterprise. But yeah, it's like, what other aspect of the canon are they going to? And people were laughing about human guy. Now, Brannon Braga, in his 5-year apology tour here in the aughts and teens for Enterprise, has said that in the back of his mind, future guy was eventually going to be seen to be Archer, which was really an interesting way to go. But he was trying to fix things or set things a certain way. So, but whatever, but this isn't, Brandon's not running this show, and that was never on canon, so who knows? But wow, of all the deep cuts they could jump into, that would be one. But again, we don't know. But they've certainly got a roadmap, and whatever they land on, what are they going to populate 13 or 14 or 15 episodes with? And what's going to be the overarching goal? If you start with Future Guy, that's an awesome thought, but where do you go from there?
Maybe it's Future Guy and Crewman Daniels on a white screen and the prophets are behind them. Just throw everything in there. We've got a Kazon in the background.
And Q is over here.
Q's just laughing maniacally.
And Trelane Jr. is over here, and he was like, I told you we were only neighbors with the Q. We weren't really them.
All right, well, Section 31, I think we can put a pin in the third season there because if Matt Winston is not guest starring on that first episode, I'm writing.
That's yours. And the controversy of the week starts fresh. Yes, on season 3.
And of course, if we get slapped with NDAs from CBS, we know that we're onto a winner.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
9 months early. No. Wait.
So, Philippa Georgiou, Section 31. Where are we going with this? Do you think that we've been getting the backdoor pilot through the second season there of Discovery, and we sort of have a feeling of where things are going to be going with this show?
Well, see, that colors the third season Discovery because she's with them, right?
Yes.
Right. So that's kind of a clue right there. That's our first. We didn't mention that, but that's kind of one of the underpinnings. We've got the bridge crew. Cornwell is dead. Spock did get left behind, thankfully, as we all knew he would be if this was going to turn into a major jump. And the other thing, we could have mentioned this about season 3 Discovery. The other thing it's hanging out there is the short treks Calypso had the Discovery as an empty ship 1,000 years in the future, that the computer on it is the AI, and whether that's the sphere computer that's come to life and become feminine, and the war that's raging that we see the soldier from, supposedly that's the corrupted, he's fighting the corrupted future Federation. So things have flipped and, become reversed. So that's hanging there. The Section 31 show starring Michelle Yeoh as Georgiou, you wonder where that's going to come from out of Discovery season 3 and their big jump. But also, like, how does Georgiou get back? Is something else? It can't get so convoluted that we start having, I would think we can't start having time streams and universes different and all that. I mean, it seems like this 31 show has got to be fairly well grounded in what is known background. It's 31. It gets back into what's the swing of 31 being a known entity. Then it goes underground. Then it's really underground. And then it's made a comeback in its ability to be above ground and its PR value. I mean, there's so many weird.
It's a groundhog.
Yeah. Yeah, there are so many weird. Will this turn into the temporal police, the temporal commission? I
was just thinking here because Crewman Daniels. Now this is a bit of a tangent, but
you've really got a Crewman Daniels thing going, man.
Well, he's there guarding the timeline. Could this be an offshoot of Section 31? And he's there at the start of Discovery's third season, and he goes, Philippa Georgiou, you're the kind of woman that I need to lead my new temporal space force. Temporal protection force.
It's amazing how the most bloodthirsty tyrant in anybody's time stream turns out to be the person that everybody wants to have on their team.
It's what happens when you build these characters up so much and you have to do something with them.
Well, see, what's amazing to me is she became so enamored. Now, remember, they talked about her series. They announced this quasi-officially right in the flush of season 1 and the Mirror Universe episodes. And some of the early complaints, the frustrations, the grumbling that you saw online of the online fan base, which I'm always quick to say, online fan base is not the exact same profile as overall fans, which I don't know that we can know, but there's a vast armchair fan base out there that has no clue what's going on online or is caught up in the controversy or the meme of the moment. They're just out there watching shows and maybe buying action figures when they can find them, and reading the books. They're just enjoying the shows. So it's not one and the same, but there was obviously a love affair with Michelle Yeoh right out of the gate. This impetus to put her in her own show happened. Now, what's amazing is that was way before the Anson Mount love affair started and all the online demands for there to be a Captain Pike show. So I know that Bowie Kim and Erica Lippoltz are working. They're working on the pilot, but they're in no hurry. We hear all these titles, but the thing everybody needs to remember is in real time, they're staffing up the production machine. They are working on Picard. The two animated, Lower Decks and hashtag Nick Trek, as I call it, the Lawless Teens, which I hear with a Western theme going in my, 5 lawless teens find the remnants of whatever. In a practical way, those are both animated, and they're not going to impugn on what live action production looks like. And Picard's being shot here in LA area, and Discovery's back in Toronto. If the Section 31 show is in Toronto, which I kind of have a clue about maybe, but they will, how are they going to space out the physical shooting? How many series can they staff up to? And if let's say everybody fell over themselves to have if not a Captain Pike series, just a Captain Pike, which it could be, a mini series, like maybe just 2 or 3 or 4 hours, which is the beauty of streaming, or maybe like a 2-hour TV streaming movie, whatever form and length it takes, how would they fit that in a practical way? Who would supervise it? Would they start multiplying, designers of different departments? Would the people running Discovery, would Gersha Phillips stay overall in control of wardrobes and they have stronger and stronger underlings under her, that kind of thing. So some of this is a practical matter, but apparently, the production of Section 31 is going to be down the road, and people worried about burnout. These are all going to air at different times. So they're going to go, and they're shorter seasons. So all the worry about burnout, I think, is a little premature. But as a practical way, Section 31, if it waits until after Picard airs, or if something actually comes along and some reason comes along to where maybe they respond to the Pike demands and a Pike of some length entity gets actually filmed and produced before Section 31. We don't know. But, the format of a 31 can be totally wide open. She's on Discovery now, depending on what they do. She's not even tied into the TOS era and just before. She could wind up popping in anywhere and being part of Section 31.
Oh, could you imagine if they plonked her during the Dominion War?
She's actually the reason that Sloane was reaching out to Bashir. Yeah, et cetera, et cetera. No, and a lot of people were a lot of people were just fans were disturbed at the beginning when they even announced the 31 show. Oh, Star Trek things have gotten dark enough. Do we have to have another dark Trek? You know, Roddenberry was optimistic and full of life about the future and aspirational. And, you know, this Section 31 are the dirty dark guys. And there are a lot of people that are mad that there was ever, you know, DS9 even created a Section 31 in the first place, even though we've had, you know, badmirals.
Every admiral.
For a long time. You know, I'm looking at you, Admiral Pressman. I'm kidding there with the Pegasus. There was almost some apology making from Aaron and from Alex Kurtzman about, well, Section 31 might not be quite that dark. I mean, there's some little rumbly talk about don't expect it to be a horrible, like the Roddenberry vision, the core of Star Trek will be upheld even in a Section 31 show, which made me go, okay, tell me more, or, you know, when you're ready. So, you know, wherever they plop her, I think it won't be quite the dark monster that people might be worried about.
Well, that is Discovery's third season and the Section 31 show.
All the details.
2 days, all the details. You got them here first because you know everything, Larry. You're Dr. Trek. You're actually just wrapping it in a little bit of question.
Right. All we have to do is wrap everything in no one knows. I have no great insight, but we can sit here and what was it that famous Secretary of Defense said? There are knowable unknowables and there are unknowable knowables.
Yes.
All of that mess. We have lots of knowable unknowables right now with both of these new entities.
Larry, will you come back on Wednesday and discuss Lower Decks and the Nickelodeon animated show for me?
Well, twist my arm, Matt. I guess I will.
Oh, love your work, Larry. Put that time suit on and I'll see you on Wednesday.
All right. Trek well till then.